Stadium.
That's what I mean.
For the main event tonight, Minnesota High School Boys Soccer, the Lakers of Detroit Lakes High School, and our Spuds of Moorhead Senior High School.
Mosquitoes love you too? Yeah, there's so many mosquitoes.
Just a reminder, to the west of the main bleacher area, concession stands are open. Hot dogs, popcorn, candy, soda, water, other items for sale at the Spuds concession stand. Also, restrooms are located in the same venue, just west of the main bleacher area. Special thanks to Sanford for their orthopedic sports medicine coverage at all of our home athletic contests this fall and winter season.
Yes, they would. They would buy
And we're also very pleased to announce that we're entertained by the Moorhead High School Pep Band here this evening, as they'll be doing the national anthem coming up shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, let's meet the starting lineups for both soccer rosters. First, for our visitors on the scoreboard this evening, the Lakers of Detroit Lakes High School. Our first starter, number 3, Cole Duraney. Number 4, Noah Meyer. Number 5, Evan Thomas. Number 6, Sean St. Clair. Number 7, Caden Reed. Number 14, Luther Van Oplen. Number 17, Ian Householder. Number 19, Wayne Gillameni. Number 20, Elijah Blow. Number 21, Avery Young. And finally, number 26, Jackson Macho. The Lakers are coached by Mr. Justin Legleitner, with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the Detroit Lakes Lakers High School Boys Soccer Squad. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the starting lineup for the home team on the scoreboard, your very own Spuds of Moorhead Senior High School. Our first Spud starter, number 1, Jacob Vanette. Number 4, Carter Jackson. Number 5, Ben Colborne. Number 7, Mohammed Namouk. Number 8, Max Hodney. Number 9, Abdirahman Ahmed. Number 10, Reber Keiko. Number 11, Mohammed Hussein. Number 12, Osama Alawi. Number 17, Elliot Funk. And finally, number 21, Colin Baumgartner. The Moorhead Spuds are coached by Mr. Ben Patry, with the rest of the coaches, players, and staff of the Moorhead High School Spuds Boys Soccer Squad. Ladies and gentlemen, if at this time y'all please rise and direct your attention toward the east end of Palmgrass Field as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem by the Moorhead High School Pep Band.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's broadcast on Spuds TV, brought to you by Muscatel Subaru. Tonight we have a matchup between the Moorhead High School Spuds and the Detroit Lakes High School Lakers. Again, a high school boys matchup here. The Spuds coming in at a record of 8-1-1, and the Lakers coming in at a record of 2-5-1. Your home team, the Spuds, after losing 0-3 to St. Michael Albertville and tying 1-1 against Osseo, they've won 8 straight, and that's where their record stands right now at 8-1-1. Now, according to the Boys Soccer Hub, they are tied for first in the independent section, which has teams ranging from Bemidji to Duluth East and many private schools in the area. And they've been improving on the year, with their second one of the year coming against Bemidji with a 2-1 victory. And just a couple nights ago here at Jim Goda Stadium, they defeated the same Bemidji team 5-2 in a well-fought game. So the Spuds' offense and defense are both improving and clicking on all cylinders. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of things, we have Detroit Lakes at 2-5-1. Now, that record may seem iffy, but right now they're third in their section at 2-2 in section matchups, with both wins coming over Crookston and East Grand Forks. And those have proved to be vital, as right now they are in a playoff and higher seeded spot in the section, hoping to get a win here against Moorhead to improve to 3-5-1 on the year. Meanwhile, Moorhead looking to get closer to that double digits win column, as we are underway here at Halmras Field in Moorhead, Minnesota. As that's tapped back to Baumgartner. Baumgartner looking for options, going to find Colburn there along the side. Colburn's going to send it all the way back to the net. He's in his box. He's going to tap that out to the side to his defender. Pass back to Colburn. Colburn looking for options. He'll try to hit Usain in the middle. Young with a little bit of pressure there before that's taken away by DEL and then immediately gained back by Colburn. Colburn to Johnson, tapping it up along the side for Alawi. Alawi trying to hit a far side, streaking forward. Chip shot back into the middle is going to bounce weird. It's in the box, and it finds the net. Not even a minute into the game, and Moorhead strikes first with a weird bounce in the box as that went off of a couple of DL players and then Moorhead players, as I'm not even sure if Moorhead knows who scored that goal. As up in the box here, we are told it is number 11, Mohammed Hussein, scoring that goal. That ended up finding the bottom right side of the net on Evan Thomas. And so Moorhead scores on their first shot of the game in the first minute of the first half. And they now lead 1-0 here at Jim Goda Stadium. As that's tapped along the far side, intended for Funk and intercepted by Masjo. Now tapped over for Funk, who's going to tap that to Colburn. Colburn trying to get up to Hussein. Intended for Hodney, but Colburn there after a weird bounce gets it away. Hodney to the middle. Back to Hussein. Hussein kicking it up for Colburn. Colburn trying to get it past the defender, but regrouping that is Yellow Nimi. And now that's sent all the way up. As Baumgartner's going to tap that one out of bounds and head back to his defensive position. Moorhead a little bit stretched there defensive-wise, and so good play there by Baumgartner, tapping it out as that's thrown in, and Hussein's going to steal that one. Hussein darting up the middle. He's trying to take it in himself, and a great play there by Evan Thomas, as the score will stay at 1-0 as he comes to the top of his box and knocks that one out of bounds and allows his Lakers team to regroup here. Zat's tapped in here, and Van Alphen has that knocked away from him, and he'll get another throw in. Excuse me, Van Offelen. A little bit of a mispronunciation there on my part. That's moved here. That's Duraney in the back. intended for Van Offelen, and instead stolen by Colborne. Tries to get into the middle for Keikos, but sent out by the Lakers again. Colborne's going to get that back, looking for a third attempted rush, but that's taken away. And now Durrani and Colborne battling with it a little bit there. And that'll bounce out behind the nets. And Thomas is going to get a kick from his box that he elects his defender to take. And that's sent on out. And a couple of weird bounces, and Detroit Lakes ends up with possession of that, as that's Masjo. And that's tap forward, and streaking for it now is St. Clair. And Vanette's going to boot that one away. And that'll go to his far side. And a throw-in will ensue for the Lakers, as that attempted throw-in for Reap is going to be intercepted. Tried there for a Keiko's tap back. Now it's Young. Young doing a little spin-a-rama there before he's taken up by Keikos. Hussein tapping it up and realizing he's offsides. Keikos is not going to go for that one. And Thomas scoops that one up on his right side of the box, as he's going to punt that one right to about midfield. As now Detroit Lakes trying to make a rush before Johnson, with a little bit too much contact there, knocks Noah Meyer off the ball. And instead, Detroit Lakes gets a kick from just outside of the 40 in their offensive zone. As that's Masjo here, looking to send it on in. Is that sent well into the sky? And actually a shot on net there as Vanette makes his first save of the night. A 40-yard kick and shot in on net. Is now, that's Namook passing it back to Baumgartner. And a couple of tap passes, and Namook ends up with that. Before Colborne trying to look for somewhere to send it to, sends it back to Johnson. Johnson up the side to Keikos. Keikos looking around. He's going to tap back to Colborne. Colborne to Hodney. Hodney's pass is knocked down by Masjo. And he's going to pressure Baumgartner along with another DL attacker. As now Funk tries to send it up, but Masjo's there, and it'll bounce off of Moorhead. And Detroit Lakes is going to get a throw in. Is that Sean St. Clair here along the near side of the camera throwing that on in. That's going to be sent in on net and taken in by Noah Meyer, who's going to tap that back for Durrani. An intended tap forward pass is stolen away. And we have a rush here with Ahmed and Hussein moving on up. Ahmed nails the left side of the net, and the Spuds go up 2-0 here on the night, with 33:57 remaining in the first half. Abdirahman Ahmed scores the Spuds' second goal, coming up from his winger spot, and instead of passing it back to the middle like the Lakers expected him to, instead he will rifle that into his far corner of the net and far side, and it is now 2-0 as Detroit Lakes will look to regroup. As now Ahmed again, trying to make something happen. Pass back to Keikos and pass back to Alawi. That's Baumgartner now with it. He's going to move it up, and Keikos is going to tap it over to Alawi. Alawi back to Baumgartner. And some tic-tac-toe passing here by the Spuds is now, that'll be Baumgartner with it. Hodney knocks that down, pass to Hussein, an intended tap-back pass, and kept it along the near side here by Namook. Hussein trying to go for that, and he'll block that away. And it will go off of Hussein as Detroit Lakes watches that go out. So they're throwing in an attempt to get the ball up the field. Is going to be moved up now as that's Funk chasing after it with St. Clair coming up behind him. And that'll actually go out on Moorhead, so St. Clair getting a throw in here. He's going to throw that in. And again, he'll end up getting that back. As that's passed back here. And then tap forward. That was Yelenemi before Keikos takes that away. And then that's taken away from him by Young. Young sending a shot in on net to save by Vanette. Vanette's going to roll that on out to Colborne. Colborne along the far side to Alawi. Alawi to the middle to Hodney. And that's passed back for Baumgartner. Baumgartner looking for options. Tries to get it to Hussein, but a great defensive play there by Blow. And that's way in the air and attempting to settle that down. That will be settled down. That was Colborne. And he taps that back to Alawi. Back to Colborne now. Colborne along the side for Keikos. Keikos with a far pass for Elliott Funk. And a bank pass off of an attacking Detroit Lakes player. Is St. Clair trying to take it away from Colborne there. And Keikos sends that well up. And Hussein's going to get that. Takes a shot. And it's 3-0 just like that. Mohamed Hussein with, I believe, his second of the night with 31-19 remaining here in the first half. Again, that was number 11, Mohamed Hussein, streaking forward for his goal.
Mohamed Hussein. Goal 31-19 up the first half makes it 3-0 Moorhead.
And so Moorhead, as you may have heard there, going up 3-0 here in the early stages of the first half, is their high-powered offense that you've seen in games before this, such as their 10-0 win over East Grand Forks and 7-0 over St. Cloud Apollo. They're looking to repeat that type of performance here tonight. As, like I said, their offense getting going here with 3 goals already. As that'll go off of a Detroit Lakes attacker, and Moorhead gets a throw in here. That's tapped in for Colborne. Colborne back to Alawi. And now Keikos ends up with that. Hitting it back to Baumgartner. Over to Hodney. Hodney immediately trying to get it to Hussein, and he'll end up getting around a defender. Colborne moving it up, and that's fielded away by Blow. Taken in by Hussein. Move it over to Keikos. Keikos looking for options. Pass over to Namook. Namook trying to make something happen. Misses a shot. And instead, Detroit Lakes will try to turn that up, but not so fast as Baumgartner. He sends that in. And a pass just out of the reach of Abdirahman Ahmed results in a Lakers throw-in along the far side. As that's tossed in for Deraney. Deraney's going to tap it back on over to Van Alphen. Offelin, excuse me. Moved on over now to Yelenemi, and that goes just out of his reach, and Moorhead gets a throw-in. Elliott Funk will take that in and throw that up, and Hussein trying to keep it in with a header and attempting to use his speed, but instead Thomas is going to get a goal kick. And instead of Thomas taking it, Elijah Blow now with it will take the boot from the top of his small box. As that's a line drive sent up and an attempted stop by Hodney. And a great read there by Alawi, sends it up for Hussein. That's tapped back into the middle, and offsides is realized, and Thomas beat them to the ball, and so he'll get a throw that he sends out to his left side. With it now is Meyer. Meyer looking for moves and ran out of room there along the far side after some great pressure by Moorhead, and they'll throw it in for Colborne. Colborne with it now after a tap back pass. Gets it over to Hodney. Hodney streaking up. Hodney splits one of the defenders. Makes a move around another. He's moving in. Moorhead's got a 4-on-2. He moves that to Namook. Namook taken down inside the box. As we await the ref's call. as that was Namook attempting to make a move around a Detroit Lakes defender, and he gets knocked down, as now Mohamed Namook gets a penalty kick, attempting to make it 4-0 Moorhead, as his shot gives Evan Thomas absolutely no chance at getting to, as he rockets one into the top right corner of the net. And on a penalty kick, Moorhead goes up 4-0 with just over 10 minutes being played in the game. Is a beautiful shot there. Puts Moorhead at a very distinct advantage early on in this game, as you have to wonder whether Coach Ben Patry is going to tell his players to keep pressing on this fast-paced attack, or whether he's going to put in some subs who may, or tell his players to not go as hard. And sometimes you'll see in sports like hockey where you'll tell them to put in a pass limit before they can take a shot on net, and you wonder if you'll see that in soccer here too, with just that high-powered forward core maybe trying to get in a couple passes in order to kind of spread the love tonight. As now we await the okay to go here, as Avery Young awaits a kick, and he'll send that in to Detroit Lakes' offensive zone. That goes into the box of Jacob Vanette, and he's pressured hard by St. Clair before he fields that in. And he'll roll that up along the side for Gast, who hits that one over to Alawi. That's chipped way forward, and some speed there, as Delaney's going to pressure Keiko's hard, and Namook shoots one off the crossbar. He was looking for two in about the same exact spot he had one before, but a little bit too much juice on that and sends it too high and off the crossbar. And now Evan Thomas takes that in and sends it out, where Moorhead will regroup at about midfield. Hodney's pressured hard by St. Clair, and now he tries to move it on over to Gast. Gast is going to send that on up, and offsides is called before a shot in on nets. And Moorhead will stay at 4 goals on the night for now. As jumping the gun a little bit there was Revar Keikos, as he was streaking forward looking for his first of the night. Taking a kick out now is Avery Young, and that's sent way over to the side before Van Offelin's going to try to pass that up for Meyer, and Moorhead's going to defend him well and get a throw in. Or rather, the rest will really went off of a Moorhead defender, and Detroit Lakes takes a throw in instead. It's a right-footed shot by Caden Reeps, going to go into Vanette's box, but pose no harm, and Funk watches that roll out. And so Vanette will take a box kick. Waving his defenders off, he'll tell him he'll take it himself, as he may have tricked the opposition there. Is instead that'll be Johnson sending it on up to Keikos before that's taken away from him. A couple of weird bounces, and Moorhead ends up with possession of it again. Moved over to Hodney. Hodney chipped to the middle for Gast. Gast going around Van Offelin. Passed on up to Keikos. Keikos with a little stop-and-go move there before it's knocked away from him and moved on up to Caden Reep. Reep on over to the side to Van Offelin. Offelin to the middle to Meyer. Meyer back to Van Offelin before it's tapped out by Osama Alawi. And a throw in there for Detroit Lakes, as they had a little bit of tic-tac-toe passing going on. Excuse me, it's a throw in for Moorhead. It actually went off of a Detroit Lakes forward there, as instead they'll look to regroup, but Hodney using his speed for it's knocked away and sent up to St. Clair. St. Clair's going to try to move it over to Mosjo, but Baumgartner's going to send that on up instead for Funk, over to Hodney instead. Namook staying on sides. Pass back to the middle. for Stahlberger. Stahlberger going between his own legs with 3 people on him. Makes it behind the back move, makes another move, going in on Thomas and knocked it away. It's a great effort by Justin Stahlberger to get inside the box and pose a threat on goalkeeper Evan Thomas. As a ball we sent into the box, and a little bit of a scary sight there as it goes through Thomas's hands. That's Hodney. He's going to pass it over to the side for Funk. Funk's going to chip it far side, and that's settled on by Alawi. He'll send that in on net, and it'll go off of the football goalpost. And so Thomas gets a kick, which he will elect for his defender, Avery Young, to take. Couple of substitutions here for both teams, is trying to get some fresh legs in there. That sent well out. Parker Gass tries to head that one down, but he will fall, and in the process, Detroit Lakes gains possession. As Offeling gets that stolen in a spin move by Keikos. Intended for a tap back pass, and that's sent well up. And a save by Thomas, and on the rebound, Moorhead has a goal as they get their 5th of the night on a great play by a streaking Moorhead forward, number 10, Revar Keikos. And again, the score is now 5-0. Keikos getting his own rebound goal here with 22:47 remaining in the first half.
Number 16, Atasonic.
As Parker Gass trying to move it on up there, he'll tap it back for Funk. And a couple of tic-tac-toe passes, and Johnson has it now. Moved over to Alawi. Alawi tapped to Colborn, who taps it back for Johnson. Johnson on up for Gass. Gass trying to make a streak up the middle. And pressure hard there by Bryce Scotland before Johnson will get to that and try to send it up, but that's knocked away by Ian Householder. And the 2 Detroit Lakes players I have just mentioned, Ian Householder and Bryce Scotland, along with Elijah Blow, are actually team captains for this Detroit Lakes soccer club, as they're all seniors here, with Blow being Blow and Household being defenders, and Scotland being a midfielder. In addition, St. Clair, who's also a midfielder and a senior, is also a team captain for this club. As now Moorhead looks to make something happen, and a header intended in the middle will not go. As you saw something like that happen just a couple games ago on the last Spuds TV stream here, with the actually exact same player attempting to make a header, as that was Abdizamak Ibrahim, as sitting in the box and awaiting a header right before the net.
Number 15, Jesse Jarney checks in for Moorhead, as does number 3.
A couple of more substitutions for Moorhead, is they're trying to keep in those fresh legs, as spending so much time running around the offensive zone can tire people out easy, even if they do have that adrenaline pumping from leading 5-0. Instead, keeping with a weird bounce off of his foot. We'll watch as that ball rolls out of bounds, and now Raber will throw that on in, and that's moved on over to Braun. Braun intending to go to the far side to Meyer, and that's stolen away from him by Al-Shamani, who taps it back to Johnson. Johnson sends that on up, and a tough Moorhead play before it's taken away, and then regained by Moorhead. Now that's sent on in, and that'll go off of the foot of Namook and then played in by a far side Moorhead defender. Is that settled down and intended to pass up to Scotland, and it's taken away by Ben Colborn, who chips that all the way up. And some speed here along the side for Al Shamani. Tap to the middle, and Stahlberger, with a weird bounce off of his foot, will not send that one home. And so the score stands on your Northwest Blinds scoreboard, 5-0 in favor of your Spuds. As that kick will be sent out now by Elijah Blow, before that's stolen by Moorhead. A little bit of fake action there. Cutting across the middle is now Keeping, ends up with that. He'll pass it back to Colborn. Colborn hits it back to Johnson. Johnson moved on up to Gast. Gast with a nice nifty little move around a press attack by Detroit Lakes. Instead they'll be knocked away and sent on over to Masjo. And a great play there along the side by Ibrahim. Ends up with that one knocked out. Is Raber's going to throw that in. And now a move by Reap is stopped before he gets the ball back. And he'll tap that on over to Raber. Raber keeping it along the sideline. And that's up for a battle between Scotland and a Moorhead's Jesse Dejarny. As there will be ruled a foul against Dejarny here outside of the box, as the ref did not like the contact. As he got a yellow card there, as he'll have to sub out of the game. And Colin Baumgartner comes in instead. The ref really not liking that contact, as Coach Ben Patry down there is asking for an explanation, and he'll get one and walk away. So now Detroit Lakes looking for their first goal of the night, as Caden Reap takes a foul kick from just outside of the box. He'll instead send that to the middle, and a shot in will go off of the foot of Meyer. And a weird, almost backsman on the ball, and Vanette will field that one and send it out to his right. Is now Alawi's going to try to chip that up for Stahlberger. Stahlberger making a move and using his speed. Chipped it to the middle for nobody, as nobody got there in time. And Evan Thomas will get another throw out from his box. That's going to go over Ibrahim's head and back to Rader. Now Raber with it. Chip to the middle, intended for Scotland, but stolen away by Baumgartner. That'll go just past him. Moved on up, intended again for Stahlberger. He'll tap that back for Gast, who's exploring options. So that's sent back to his defender. Now moved on over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner with a tap, relay pass over to Keeping. Keeping with taken down with a slide tackle by Raber. And a pass intended up for Ibrahim will go just out of the reach of his left foot. And now Colborn with it. It's a couple of moves around some defenders. And that'll be Al Shamani. Not sure what that was. I believe that's ruled a foul against Moorhead. Did not catch the number of who it was on, but Al Shamani had a little break there, but a little issue in the backfield, and they will not get their kick. Is that sent to the far side, and Van Offelen trying his hardest to keep it in, but he takes down a Moorhead defender there, and another kick for Moorhead from just before midfield of their defensive zone. Is taking this now is Johnson. He'll send that in. Knocked down by the Lakers. For Moorhead steals possession of it. And Gass trying to tap it over, but Colborn regroups and sends that back for Johnson. Johnson over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner taps it back to Colborn. And Colborn with a little bit of a throwback to last year with Jacob Hendrickson and his aggressive play style, as they utilized him a lot. And that was a huge key to their success, as Colborn on that team last year and using a little bit of that knowledge with that pass to Vanette there. As now they're regrouping in their defensive zone with some heavy pressure from Detroit Lakes as they'll end up squeaking it out past a couple of them. Stahlberger chipping it forward for streaking Ibrahim. Ibrahim taken down with a slide tackle and another slide tackle attempt. And there's a foul ruled inside the box, but not on Detroit Lakes, as Ibrahim was ruled to be in the wrong there by the ref. As you could hear the stands here wanting something on both of those slide tackles, but instead Ibrahim getting something on that one, as that'll go just out of Durania's reach. And now Householder sends that one on up. And that's Reap before that's stolen away from him by Colburn. A nice little nifty spin move. Move to the middle here. And then intended for Ibrahim. And now Moorhead regroups right at the edge of their offensive zone. Gass trying to look for something on in. He'll streak around the edge. Shot in on net, save by Thomas. And he will beat Ibrahim to the ball and keep the score at 5-0. And he'll end up throwing that on out. Intended there for Meyer, but stolen away by Colborn. Back to Ibrahim. To the middle here, that's Stahlberger with it. And then knocked to the middle of the field as that's Scollin trying to settle it down. In a battle with about 5 other Moorhead defenders trying to hold his own. But Moorhead will end up getting the ball back. Is a nifty little move along midfield before tried pass up to Stahlberger. And now Braun with it along the side, pressured by Moorhead, and sends that on out off of a Moorhead midfielder. And now they get a throw in along the far side.
Entering the soccer match for Moorhead, number 6. Luckman Samani, and entering for the Lakers, number 6, Sean St. Clair.
As we have 2 number 6s entering the game here, 1 for each team. As that's Lukeman Samain and Sean St. Clair for each of their respective teams coming into the game. As the ref's whistle stops play. And Moorhead gets a throw in midfield as that's Gast fielding that down. Moving it back for Johnson. Johnson on over to Baumgartner. To the middle. Tapped up, and that's Ibrahim now with it. Ibrahim and just a little bit too much on that, and it'll be sent to Moorhead's defenders before that's stolen away by Raber. And he'll try to move through, but Moorhead ends up with that one, as that's Colborn, who's going to knock that back for Johnson. Johnson up for Gass, but that'll bounce weirdly off of his foot, as that was St. Clair trying to help his defender set up. Now Johnson with it. Johnson, again, passing back to Vanette. And Vanette's going to send that up along the side. For tap back to the middle. And then on over to Baumgartner. As that's moved to the middle. As that was Brewster tapping on over to Gass. Gass looking for options, instead going to use his legs and use speed, trying to go up, and knocked out by a Detroit Lakes defender. And now Moorhead and Keeping will get a throw in here along the near side, as that'll be sent on in for Ibrahim. And now Keeping with it. Pass over to Ibrahim. Ibrahim trying to stop. He ends up keeping the ball in, stopping a goal kick, but instead, not sure what happened there, as both players ended up going down. And a yellow card has been given to Abdizamik Ibrahim. As you may have heard there, number 9 Abdirahman Ahmed checks back in for Ibrahim in his yellow card as he took down Detroit Lakes outside of the box. And now that kick will be sent on up and then headed forward before sent on out by Detroit Lakes, trying to get their offense going. Tap back over from St. Clair, try to get it back. Now instead in the middle with it is Scotland. Knocked away by Johnson. Up from Moorhead's own number 9, Abdirahman Ahmed. As he tries to move around a defender who's boxing him out, and Detroit Lakes will send that one on up and out of play. Keeping's going to throw that in for Brewster. Couple of contact there between both Moorhead and Detroit Lakes, and that'll be thrown in by Raber for sent on up into the air, and a little bit of header action there from both teams. That settled down, and Ahmed's going to pass that back to Colborne. Passes it to Johnson. With it now along the sideline is Alawi. Alawi trying to get it through to Lukman Samain, but it'll go off of a Detroit Lakes midfielder. And now Moorhead gets a throw in. Is that sent in for Brewster? Brewster trying to settle it down, but taken off by Van Offelon. And thrown in for him. Detroit Lakes trying to make something happen here before Moorhead takes that away. As there's a whole mix of players over there. And a block there from Van Offelen. And Moorhead gets a throw in that'll be sent back to Johnson. Johnson with a tap pass from Colborne to Baumgartner. Mal moved up to Brewster. Brewster over to Keeping. Keeping over to Gast. Gast to Colborne, where that's taken away by Van Offelen. And Moorhead will get a throw in here along the near side, as that's Keaton Keeping taking that, passing it up to Stahlberger, who snuck past a couple of Laker defensemen. Move back to Keeping. Keeping over to the middle for Colborne. Colborne trying to send that in into the box. And all alone, and Thomas steps out. As danger's not over yet. As Stahlberger takes a shot off of his right toe and sends that well wide of the net, posing no threat to Thomas. With about 7:50 remaining in the first half. Is now that sent on up for a attempted Detroit Lakes attack, and instead that's stolen away here. And that's Samain. Samain with a couple of moves, pass on over to the side. And the offside is called as jumping the gun a little bit there with Stahlberger along the far side for Moorhead. And now Detroit Lakes gets a kick from right at about the top of their large box. You can see the orange outline of it on the football field. That's teed up and sent on out to the far side, knocked down for taken away. And again, sent on up by Detroit Lakes, kept on in by St. Clair. St. Clair back for Offelen, for that's stolen by Moorhead. Moorhead pass up to his striker. And a shot will go in. That's number 6, Lukman Samain, getting his first of the night.
But goal scored by number 6, Lukman Samain. Time of that spud goal, 6:36 up the first half.
So with 6:36 remaining in the first half, Samain sends a beautiful shot there into his bottom left of the shooting lane. And the score now stands at 6-0 in favor of your hometown Spuds, as Detroit Lakes will attempt to regroup and get some momentum to head into the second half. But Brewster and his team try to not have that happen is a couple of weird passes, and Semane's going to get that before taken down inside the box, but offsides was called first, so nothing will come of it. And instead, Detroit Lakes will get a kick from, again, right near the top of Thomas's goal box. Is taking that kick here is number 7, Caden Reap. He'll send that over to the side intended for Raber, but keeping guards him and bounces one out. And so Detroit Lakes gets a throw in here, as that's Braun looking for somebody for Van Offlin. And now a couple of bounces will send it Vinette's way, and he'll throw it on out to his right side to Alshamani. Alshamani with attempted stop and go, but lost his footing there. And it's out of bounds along the far side. And Alshamani gets a throw in. He'll send that into Baumgartner. Baumgartner tap back for Johnson. Johnson's going to send that one well up for Hussein, who knocks that down. Meyer taking both himself and the ball down for Hussein, steals that from him. Here's Gass now. A little trick action there as Colburn takes that from him. Not sure if Gass knew that was coming or not. As Colburn moves that on up to the side. That's Ahmed. Ahmed to the middle to Gast. Gast trying to get around a pressed Meyer. And jumping the gun a little bit more is Lukeman Semaine, as it would have been a 2-on-0 with both Lukeman Semaine and Abel Brewster, as they were both looking to dart up on a 2-on-0 to make it 7-0. But again, both of them just getting a little bit too far past the defender, and offsides was called. And so Detroit Lakes will kick that on over to Yelenimi, and that's taken away, and Hussein trying to streak up. Thomas is going to be at the top of the box and bounce off of Hussein's shins on a Thomas kick, and that will be sent out well behind the net. And he will get a knockout from his box that he instead elects Reap to take for him. Interesting to see this, as Reap has been taking a couple of kicks, and he actually is a midfielder. So a little bit of a difference in strategy from Moorhead and Detroit Lakes, as sometimes you'll see Carter Johnson taking the kicks for Moorhead's Jacob Vinette, and instead you have a midfielder for Detroit Lakes as opposed to the defender from Moorhead. As now Moorhead knocks that out off of an attacker's foot, and Detroit Lakes gets a throw in. It's now Householder. Waits for the okay to go. Before he gets that ready and throws it on in. That's tapped in for Jurdy. Short stolen away from him. That's Hussein over to Brewster. Brewster's shot's going to be saved by Thomas. And Thomas will toss that one out to the middle for Jurdy. For stolen away by Ahmed, and now moved on over to Gast. Gast pass up the middle, stolen away from him. And another weird bounce that we've seen many of tonight, and Moorhead will end up with that one back. That's Colborne. He's going to move that up to the middle to Gast. Gast is going to hit the middle. And Thomas comes out to the side of the box to prevent any Moorhead opportunity from developing. As Colborne settles that down, now Med's going to send that over to Brewster, but that's taken away from him by Braun. Braun intending to move it up to St. Clair, but that's not going to go. And that's moved over to Rainey, clearing danger. And Hussein tapping that with the back of his foot before Braun takes that. Braun trying to split the defenders. Instead, Jurdy will try to send it over for St. Clair, but it'll go just out of his reach, and Carter Johnson watches that roll out of bounds, and he will take a throw in. He'll send that in, intended for Brewster, but it'll bounce on over to Semaine, who taps it back to Brewster. Brewster with a couple of moves before Gast ends up with that one. Gast tap back to Keeping. Keeping on over to Baumgartner. Back up to Gast. A little triangle passing action there. Move to the middle for Hussein. Hussein back to Keeping. Keeping far side for Johnson. Trying to get it to the weak side and activate that a little bit there. That's Brewster sending that one up and beating a defender to that is Abdirahman Ahmed. Makes a move around a defender, charging in on the net with just under a minute left, and hook shot's going to be sent in off the crossbar. And eventually Thomas will set that down, and he will throw it up. As a great effort and a one-man show by Abdirahman Ahmed as he took a large looping pattern to the net. As Moorhead will try to get something going off of the back of that momentum as that's passed on over to Ahmed. Ahmed's going to try to get that to the middle for Brewster, but that'll be knocked away. Gas trying to make something happen, taken down in midfield. Knocked away by Colborne. Colborne's going to get that back. Colborne along the far side finds a streaking Somain. Somain intended for Hussein, but that will not go. As that brings the end to the first half of play here from Jim Goda Stadium. As your Spuds lead on the Northwest Blind scoreboard 6-0. We do have a halftime performance here coming up from the Moorhead Highlights dance team, so make sure to stay tuned here at halftime and watch our halftime performance. And stay tuned for second half action of boys soccer here on Spuds TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, here to perform for your halftime entertainment this evening is the Moorhead Fall Dance Team. The team includes 7th through 12th graders dancing to the song Brittany Mix. The captains are Gracie Chandler, Kenneth Yilstra, and Olivia Stafford. The Moorhead Fall Dance Team is coached by Melanie Firestein and Emma Firestein. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Fall Dance Team. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have another nice round of applause for the Moorhead Spuds Fall Dance Team.
Natural talent, physical gifts, training advantages. To become a champion, none of that matters. True champions are the ones who are comfortable working harder, staying later, and finding that competitive edge. They are never satisfied simply doing a good job, because those who transform themselves from local talent into local folklore are the ones who continually perform beyond their limits. Bell Bank, proudly supporting champions everywhere.
Pam is a small business owner. She is swamped. Pam knows she needs to advertise, but is overwhelmed by all the options. What if there was a way for Pam to have access to a team of media experts? What if this was at no extra cost and didn't require a contract? Meet Avenue Right. Save time, money, and get peace of mind that your advertising dollars are well spent.
We are The Breakdown. For almost 2 decades, we've published the most comprehensive yearbooks on Minnesota high school sports and run the best in-season and off-season events. We cover every corner of the state. We are The Breakdown.
Boss DXT snowplows are tough to beat. Featuring dual trip tech, flared wings, and optional D-force for improved scraping and backdragging performance. Choose from 3 different sizes in steel, stainless steel, and poly. The Boss DXT is built to restore order.
Your home for Boss snowplows is Bert's Truck Equipment on Highway 75 North in Moorhead.
Before I became a real boy, life was easy. I just sat there doing sandwich stuff. But being alive is so hard. So if you don't want to get up to get a sandwich, you shouldn't have to.
Revive Professional Massage Therapy Clinic. Locally owned and operated. Open 7 days a week, day, evening, and same-day appointments available. Couples massages also available. 20 highly trained professional licensed massage therapists on staff. Now with 2 locations, South Fargo and Detroit Lakes. Offering online booking and online gift certificates. www.reviveprofessionalmassage.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you enjoyed that halftime performance by the Moorhead Highlights Dance team as we get set for some second half action from Jim Goda Stadium, where your Spuds are currently leading 6-0 over the Lakers of Detroit Lakes. In case you missed it, a little recap of the scoring from the first half is Muhammad Hussein ends up cashing in on a couple of weird bounces and puts the Spuds ahead 1-0 within the first minute of the first half. Number 9, Abdirahman Ahmed followed that up with a goal at the 33:57 mark, putting the Spuds up 2-0. Hussein cashed in for his second goal and third goal for the Spuds on the night, followed by a goal for Mohamed Namouk on a penalty kick after he was taken down inside of Thomas's box. That was followed by a goal by Rivar Kekos and a final goal in the first half by Lukman Samain, and that puts us where we are at now, with the Spuds winning 6-0 as the second half is underway. And Detroit Lakes takes a throw in, as that's Householder sending that in, but it's taken away from him by Ahmed. Ahmed to the middle and tap back to Kekos. Kekos looking for options. Sends that back to Alawi. Alawi to Colborn. Colborn up to Kekos. Kekos back to Alawi. Sent far side. Hodney watches that go over as Funk maybe could have tried to get that, but he's beat to that by Mosjo. And that's sent on up. Back to the middle for Mosjo, but that's knocked away from him. And now Colburn has to fight for it with St. Clair along that sideline. Intended pass for Meyer in the middle is taken away by Moorhead. And that's sent out by Alawi to about midfield. Alawi. Blow's going to tap that back for his defender. For Hussein streaking up and disrupting that is Kekos. Back to Hodney. Now Johnson with it. Johnson sends that back to Vanette. Vanette with that view from the goalie box. Being able to see everything in front and everything as it develops. So that's a key factor as to why they're passing to him, if anybody was out there wondering. That's passed up Hodney, and that was intercepted by Mosjo. With it now as well, Evan Thomas, as he gets that tap back to him. For it sent immediately back up for Mosjo. Mosjo trying to go around Funk. A couple of moves before he'll tap that back to the middle and hit up again. As that's Reap sending that on over to Young. Young sends that way into the sky for St. Clair. St. Clair knocks that down. And just out of the reach of Caden Reap, and Moorhead gets to go on attack. Or rather, they thought they were, as a weird bounce off of Namook. Puts DL back in control of the ball. So DL showing some signs of life here in the second half, as obviously not liking being down 6-0, trying to change that 0 on that Northwest blind scoreboard. And that's sent in on the net, and he sees his first shot of the second half, and he rolls that over to Alawi. Alawi's going to tap that back for Colborne. Colborne's going to send that out in before a streaking defender's going to take that away, and that was Blow with a great read there as he tries to get it up and trying to disrupt some Moorhead offense. And Moorhead kicks that out of bounds, and the Lakers will get a throw in along the far side as that's Lane Yellow-Nimmy tossing it in for Blow. Blow's going to tap that back to Thomas. And a takedown there is Detroit Lakes gets that, and that's Van Offelson. Tapped up and kept in along the sideline by Householder before it's taken away by Alawi. Colburn with it now, taps it over to Alawi. Alawi back to Johnson. Johnson looking for options. Sends that on up to Keikos. Keikos' pass to the middle is knocked away by Blow to the far side where Hodney will have to regroup. And he'll pass to Funk. Funk back up to Hodney. Hodney trying to use a burst of speed to get around a couple of defenders, and he will. And they called something in the backfield. Or rather, they call him offsides as he touches the pass behind the defender. And so Detroit Lakes will regroup here. As now that's Reap with it, trying to look for something to do. Passes it back now to Blow. Blow's going to send that one well into the sky. Hit up for Funk, who's going to pass it over. And then up from Alawi to Keikos. Keikos trying to do something. Instead, that'll be Deraney of the Lakers passing it to the middle. And a disrupt there by Colborne as Hussein is going to pass it back to Ahmed. Back to Colborne, on over to Hodney. Forward stolen by Meyer. Meyer with a move around to Colborne. And with a move around Ahmed. He's going to pass it up and then tapped on over Van Offelson. And a shot, or rather hard pass, off of a Moorhead attacker. And DL is going to take a throw in along the near side. Where Van Offelson is going to move that back. And Reap is going to send that well back for Thomas as he comes to the top of that half circle on top of his box and sends that to the far side. As that will be Blow knocking it well into the sky, trying to settle down with Meyer, but it's knocked away instead. Streaking up now is Hussein. Hussein looking for 3 on the night. Behind the back, tap to the middle to Ahmed. Ahmed trying to split the defenders, but it'll go just past him. And now Thomas scoops that up and boots that one well past the 40 to about the midfield line as Meyer settles that down. And tries to get around Funk, but Funk playing some great coverage there before it's taken away from him and then gained back by Baumgartner. Baumgartner's going to send that in. It bounces off of Detroit Lakes before he'll send it back on up. That was Namook battling for it before Colborne settles it down. Colborne for Hussein. Hussein back to the middle. And offsides, as it was a great setup between Colborne, Hussein, and Keikos. But almost too good of a setup as the defenders had absolutely no clue as to where Keikos was on the field, as he was about 5 to 10 yards behind the actual defenders, as he would have had a huge break in alone on Evan Thomas. As now that kick's going to be sent well up into Moorhead's defensive zone. And they will get a throw-in along the far side. As that'll be Funk throwing it in. And then fielded by Detroit Lakes, sent in from Blow, intended up for St. Clair. Move back to Al-Shamani. Al-Shamani hook passes that up for Keikos. Knocked down by Hussein. Back to Keikos. Keikos with a couple of heel taps. Over to Hodney. Hodney will have that go just out of his reach, so Meyer is going to tap it on up for Blow. Blow back to Meyer. Meyer over to Blow. That's knocked well into the sky and out of bounds off of a Laker player. And Moorhead gets a throw in into Baumgartner. Baumgartner's guarded by Meyer. He'll pass it out of bounds, as that may have been intended for Namuk there along the far side. And instead, Reap will try to send that on over for it stolen away from him. And some contact between Keikos and an attacking Laker will result in a Moorhead kick that Colburn will send over to Baumgartner. Hodney regrouping here for a streaking Detroit Lakes Yelenimi. Knocks away the ball. As there was a whistle on the play. Not sure what it was for, as I saw the ball soar out. And I was wondering what the whistle was for, as they'll rule it about the right on the midfield line, as a kick's going to be sent in by Young and knocked down, and now Keikos is going to look for something to do with it. Keikos trying to get around Young, but that's not going to work, and instead Hodney's going to try to tap it up to Namuk, but that's stolen away from him. That's Reap trying to get around about 3 Moorhead players there, but nothing's going to happen from that. And a pass well up for Hodney along the far side. Tap back to the middle. Intended for Hussein. And that will bounce off of his foot and go behind the goal line of Thomas. So Detroit Lakes gets a kick here with 30 minutes remaining in this second half, as neither team really getting anything going so far, with about the only break coming in from an offsides call on Revar Keikos. Is now Young of Detroit Lakes will take down Osama Olawi, and he will get a kick from about the 46-yard line on the football field. As you see those markings and the tick marks indicating a yard line on the bottom of your screen, right on top of the bold white line. As that's sent on in and knocked up by Keikos before Meyer is going to send that into the sky. Moorhead settling that down on just the outside of the zone for knocked away by Detroit Lakes, and St. Clair is going to go up for it, but Baumgartner's going to get there first. St. Clair showing a burst of speed for a couple of bounces, and Hussein ends up with it, using his speed to dart around the side, keeping it in bounds. He's got a path to net. He'll hook into the middle, and taken out in the middle was Keiko streaking up. As that was number 20, Elijah Blow, making contact with Revar Keikos as he was streaking to the middle.
Entering the match for Moorhead, number 2,
and again, that was Blow disrupting Moorhead's chance there inside the box. As number 2, Razak Al-Shamani checks into the game, and out comes number 7, Mohamed Namuk, as that'll be sent on forward and settled down by Baumgartner. St. Clair is going to take that away from him. Up to Meyer. Detroit Lakes with a little bit of a break here. Over to St. Clair. St. Clair losing a little bit, and Colburn ends up with that. And out of bounds off of Moorhead. And Detroit Lakes Lane Yelenimi will take a throw in, and he'll throw that in to Reap. Hussein's going to try to tap that forward. Staying on side. That's Revar Keikos. Streaking in a great play by Cole Duraney, as he streaks back from his position at about the 30-yard line and knocks away a shot from Revar Keikos as he looked to make it 7-0. So we have a Bell Bank corner kick, our first of the night for the Moorhead Spuds. And that'll be Max Hodney taking it. Is he'll send in a left-footed shot, and that's headed just to the side of the net as we await the ruling by the referee. As we do have a player down in the crease as there was contact between Thomas, the goaltender, and number 20, Elijah Blow, as they'll rule it went off of Ben Colborn's head and out of bounds. And Blow may be bleeding there a little bit as he wipes down and looks down at his hands. And now he'll send that up before it's knocked away by Hodney. Back in for Keikos. Keikos heading that on over Blow, and his shot will be sent in and just past the post, right outside of the net. And instead, Thomas will get a shot from his box. Thomas does elect to take that one up, and he'll send that up for Meyer. Meyer looking for something to do before Moorhead takes that away, and that's Alawi with it now. Alawi tries to chip it on over, but it's glanced off of Van Offelen's foot. And instead, Moorhead will get a throw-in, as that's Alawi trying to send it up for Hodney, and Hodney with a great play. Or rather, our angle up here in the booth was a little bit off, and it glanced off of the left side of his head and back out of bounds. As Householder awaits the throw-in here along the near side. Both teams making a couple of substitutions there as some players running in late, as that's what we are holding up for. That's thrown in, and Alawi's going to knock that down, intending to get it up to Ahmed, but Young is going to knock that down, and then contact is ruled against Detroit Lakes. And Moorhead gets a kick from right inside the 30 on the football field. As that'll be Max Hodney, and if you remember, he had a kick from right outside of the box just a couple of nights ago that went bar down. And just what you saw there, as similar as you saw on Hodney's corner kick, Ben Colborn tries to head that into the open net, but it will go to Thomas's right and just outside of the net, as nothing will come from that. That's Meyer, who's going to head it on up, knocked down by Funk. Funk in a little bit of a battle. And now Colborn's going to end up with it. Colborn hits a moving Alawi. Alawi chip to the middle. And offsides is called against Revar Keikos as he jumps the gun, as he's done such a good job tonight. As that's about the third offsides call on him in the second this half. As he is doing, again, just such a good job of getting behind defenders and using his stealth, which is a little bit almost unpaying for him, as he's been called offsides and he's almost too good at what he does. Is now, as a result of Keikos' offsides, that'll be sent on in and knocked on up for settled down by Householder, for Hussein ends up with it. Another whistle, and that'll be Hodney that gets to take that kick. Is rather Hodney elects Johnson to move up from his defensive spot and take the kick instead, as he moves that over to Alawi. Alawi with a weird shot off of Scollin's foot. And Moorhead will regroup with Jacob Annette at the helm. as Hodney is with it now. And Hodney moving around a defender. Where that's chipped on up. And offsides is called again. As Al-Shamani there in disbelief as he thought he was even with the defender. And the ref disagrees and calls offsides instead. As that'll be Caden Reap taking the kick for Detroit Lakes. And here with just over half of the second half remaining, the score still stands at 6-0 with no goals so far having come in this second half. As you may have heard me mention during that halftime break, the first half alone was filled with 6 goals, and 5 of those coming before the 20-minute mark, as now that'll be a streaking Revar Caicos trying to make something happen and look for Moorhead to get something going this half. He'll get the ball back. That's knocked away, and Hani's going to send in a shot that's going to glance off of a defender. And there'll be contact between Max Hodney and Braun, as Hodney's going to get a shot as a result of Braun's yellow card from right outside the box. So he'll sub out of the game, and instead, number 20, Elijah Blow, comes into the game. So the 3rd yellow card tonight for both teams combined, and the first for Detroit Lakes. As that's Captain Elijah Blow looking for an explanation from the head referee. And he will go over and explain to that Detroit Lakes head coach, Justin Wigleitner. And he explains exactly what the yellow card was for. Is Hodney looking for a goal tonight? And again, you've heard me mention it every time he's gotten a shot, but in just a couple of games ago, he had a very nice shot that went just underneath the crossbar, may have grazed off of it from right outside the box, as he looks to repeat that again right now. And the ref gives the okay, and Hani's going to send a shot in that's knocked away up front. I believe that was Van Offelin knocking that away. And instead, Funk will try to get Moorhead going along that far side. And that's sent well up by Caden Reap. And Moorhead will have to regroup in their defensive zone. There's a far trek now to get back inside the offensive zone, as they were inside the goalie box at one point, and now here they stand past midfield in their defensive zone, looking to make something happen. As Alawi moves over to Hussein. Hussein up to Alawi, back over to Colborn. Colborn with a nice little stop-and-go action. Pass back to Alawi. Alawi's going to move it over to Baumgartner. Spuds both killing time and setting up for their attack. With a couple of moves there, that's Elliott Funk. Not able to get to that in time. And Detroit Lakes gets a throw-in as that's sent on in for Scotland for knocking that down. And Young's going to have a chance now to do something with it. But Colborn, with a great defensive play, is going to send it over to Alawi after stealing that one. Alawi with a move around the defender is going to move that on up. That's moved up for Ahmed. Ahmed streaking in, and again, Duraney is there. What a performance in this second half from Duraney, disrupting 2 Moorhead attacks, as we have a host of Moorhead substitutions here. As we have number 6, Lukman Samain, number 15, Jesse DeJarny, number 14, Justin Stahlberger,
number 15, Jesse Jarney, number 14, Justin Stahlberger, and number 3, Keaton Keeping.
as now Moorhead throws that in along the side as that's newly entered keeping. And a whistle called, whistle blown, as that will go out of bounds. Or rather, it's a foul that is called against the Lakers, and Moorhead will get a kick here along the near side as that's Abel Brewster sending that shot into the middle, intending for Gas to knock that one home, but it would not go. As now Detroit Lakes is going to send a kick out from their boxes. They had the ball bounce behind the goal line of their net. And sending that out is Blow. He'll knock that on up. Knocked down by Meyer. Before taken away from him and regrouped by Funk. Funk's pass intended for Gas is going to be knocked away. And now Detroit Lakes ends up with it before a foul is called against Moorhead. And Blow will get a kick on net, rather, as he'll send that well into Jacob Vanette. And he'll see some action here, as that's Van Offelen trying to do something. And the ref calling another foul against Moorhead. And that'll be Reap with it, as he'll try to send that in on net from just inside the 20-yard line of his offensive zone. And Vanette makes that save, and that'll bounce away from him. And he'll end up covering that up, as he did have an attacking Detroit Lakes player inside of his box and managing to regroup as that bounced away from him before Avery Young could get to that one. Hussein trying to get around Van Offelen and making up for his earlier mistake. He'll end up getting that back for Detroit Lakes steals an intended pass over to Brewster and then knocking it out. There's a bit of confusion as to who gets the throw in. As now Detroit Lakes will throw that in as the ref rules it went off of a Moorhead player. And another stoppage of play, as that was either a handball or a foul on Moorhead. I do apologize. I'm not sure which one the ref called. As Meyer is getting ready for a shot in on Jacob Vanette from right outside the box. Hook shot in, and that'll sail for what would be 3 points in a football game, but instead it's soccer, and he'll come up with 0 as he sends that over the net. And now that's sent on up. And Moorhead attempting to make a rush before that's passed back to the middle for Brewster. Brewster is going to move that back to Keeping. Keeping taps it on up for Brewster. And a couple of bounces will send it back into the possession of Parker Gast. And now Keeping with it, moves it over to Hussein. Hussein, a couple of bounces, and there's 4 Moorhead attackers on one side, but nothing will happen as it's knocked out by Elijah Blow of Detroit Lakes. And then again, another knockout by Avery Young of Detroit Lakes. And the ball bounces out as Keeping watches that. Throwing it in and reading that perfectly was Caden Reap with a weird bounce. And instead Gasliget, that is another off pass, and Reap's going to try to make a rush here, looking to make something happen. Sends that back to the middle. And a bounce off of Keeping's foot results in a Laker throw-in, as that's Van Offelen who will pass the ball to Ian Householder, who will pass it to St. Clair. St. Clair throws that in, and that's bounced into the air, and Vanette tries to knock that down. He falls and leaves the net open before it's sent back out by Moorhead, averting a little bit of a crisis there, as that's knocked into the sky by Somain, and rocket of a shot from right inside of Detroit Lakes' offensive zone, bounces out, and Moorhead gets a throw in as a result, but it is well inside of their defensive zone. Hussein's going to keep that one in along the side. He'll keep it on the line. St. Clair trying to make something happen with a little heel tap. He'll send a pass in. As Somain's going to get that one back on a tap back pass from Gast. As he tries to make something happen. Moves it to Hussein. Hussein back over to Somain. Now Stahlberger trying to make something happen here as he'll get that back, stay on size, tap it back to the middle, and knocked away by a captain, Elijah Blow of the Detroit Lakers. And so Moorhead gets a throw in from right outside of the corner kick spot. And Stahlberger boxes out a defender, but instead a Bellbank corner kick will come up for your Moorhead Spuds as they look to extend their lead to 7-0, as that's Abel Brewster on the far side corner kick, sending it in. It's in the box now, trying to settle it down, and then sent out and sent immediately back in. A weird bounce up into the sky, and Evan Thomas comes down with that one. Sent well into the sky. A weird bounce for Meyer. He's not going to be able to settle it. Instead, he'll have to steal the ball back and make contact with Mohamed Hussein. And Moorhead gets a kick from just past midfield. His gas kick is sent on into the box and fielded by Thomas. Thomas is going to toss that up for Meyer with a spinorama move. Meyer moves it up for Reap. Reap trying to keep it in bounds, but it just bounces past him. And we have two substitutions, one for each team, as number 19, Lane Yelanimi, comes in for Detroit Lakes, and number 16, Abdizamik Ibrahim, comes in for Moorhead. Also going into the game a little bit later is Mohamed Namouk coming in right now.
Entering the match for Moorhead, number 16, Abdizamik Ibrahim. And for the Lakers, number 17, Ian Householder.
And out comes Elliot Funk as he has Namouk sub in for him, and a shot well up. Passes. Something was ruled. Not sure what the ruling was on that, as it might have been contact between Namouk and the Detroit Lakes defender. So instead, that kick will be sent well up, knocked back into the sky, and another whistle is called. As it's a handball ruled on Moorhead. And number 7, Caden Reap, will send in a shot. And Vanette signaling what most people in the stands thought as he put his hands up as it goes through the field goal post, as second time that's happened tonight. As Detroit Lakes has some very obviously strong legs on the team, trying to get something in on the box before crashing the net with their forwards. That may be their strategy, but a little bit too much power on their kicks. Is now Keeping will look to make something happen, and he'll knock that out. And we are under 10 minutes remaining here with about 8 in the second half. As that's thrown in by St. Clair. Meyer is going to settle that one down, and then knocked away from him. And so Maine's going to try to make a rush up here, looking for something to happen. Move around one defender, move around two. Passed up along the side, running for that one. Kept in on a great play along the side there by Brewster before it's sent up and knocked down by Gast. Moved up to Ibrahim now. Ibrahim back over to Gast. Gast trying to use speed along the side. He's going to send in a shot on net on Thomas. Glances off of his hands and goes out of bounds. And so Detroit Lakes will get a kick from their box as a shot came in and was saved by Thomas. With it now is Johnson. Johnson's going to move it to Gass, and then he'll tap it back over to Baumgartner. Baumgartner on up for Somain. Over to Brewster. Brewster to Johnson. Johnson back intended for Somain, but that's knocked away by Reap. Gass stealing it from Reap. Before it's moved over to Brewster. Brewster to Gast. Back over to Baumgartner. Moved up in a missed defensive play. Streaking forward. Stolberger in on Thomas, and Thomas comes out to the top of his box to knock that away. And so the score still stands at 6-0 here on your Northwest Blind scoreboard. And with the score this half alone being 0-0, it's not so much a result of Moorhead playing worse, it's more of a result of Detroit Lakes playing better, as they've started the second half with about 5 minutes straight of possession. And now Thomas with a save there. As like I said, it's more of a case of Detroit Lakes playing better in this half than Moorhead playing worse, as they've tightened up their defensive game, not letting much get into the box, as now St. Clair tries to get them a goal, but he'll get beat to that. And Keeping will be ruled as fouling an attacker from Detroit Lakes. And Blow will send that in along the far side. As now that'll bounce out of bounds for a Detroit Lakes corner kick as it glances off of a Moorhead defender's foot, or rather leg. And now a kick for Detroit Lakes will be sent in and then headed away by Baumgartner. Sent back in by Young and then knocked out by Johnson as he shows off his strong leg. As Brewster's going to send that up and staying onside, coming in on net. Thomas coming out to the top of his crease, making an amazing save as he's slid in his crease and basically teed that back. And now here's Meyer with a chance in the box. Meyer looking for a shot back to the middle, and a great play in front by Moorhead keeps the score at 6-0. And Detroit Lakes will get a corner kick here, as taking it is number 7, Caden Reap. As he prepares to send that in, he'll throw it in, and Vinette volleyball taps that one out for Detroit Lakes opts to keep that in instead of watching it go out and a shot sent in. And Vanette seeing a lot of action right now as Detroit Lakes kind of finding their footing here in the late stages of the game, as he'll toss that one well up past the midfield before it's settled down by Duraney and then taken back by Ibrahim. Stahlberger trying to take that away before a battle is won by Householder. And Ibrahim with pressure there on Householder. And so they will elect Elijah Blow to send in a shot. And here comes Householder. The weird bounce, and Brewster's going to take that one away instead. Here comes Gast moving up. Gast darting around a couple of defenders before regrouping. And with 2.5 minutes here, Spuds will either look to kill time and send out any passes if they need to eliminate any threats, as they had a couple of threats there with about 4 minutes remaining in the game, as Vanette took 2 or 3 shots in quick succession. For Meyer steals that away. Moorhead almost a little too non-aggressive there. As here comes Brewster. Brewster trying to tap it forward, but Householder's going to take that away. Householder looking for options. He'll move it over to St. Clair. St. Clair tries to get a hook pass in. Headed up in the middle for Householder before it's sent out by Keating and headed out of bounds. St. Clair here looking for a throw-in with a couple of substitutions coming from both teams. And now here comes St. Clair looking for Detroit Lakes' first goal of the night. He'll send that back into the middle and looking for somebody. And a great play there by Al-Shamani as he avoids something happening with just about 1:15 remaining here in the second half. As that's tapped up and stolen by Al-Shamani. And that'll be passed well up. No offsides is called, streaking in.
1 minute remaining in the second half of play.
And an attempted takeout there by Detroit Lakes, and Brewster will stand up for himself, and instead Moorhead will go on the attack. As here's Namook looking for someone. So he'll hook pass that over to Ibrahim. Ibrahim's going to take a shot in, and saved by Thomas, who has stood strong through this second half. And so a corner kick for Moorhead here, as taking that is number 7, Mohamed Namook. As he'll look to send that in, and he does. And knocked away by Detroit Lakes. Regrouping it outside before sending that well wide of the net, as that was Samain looking to make it 7-0. And a ground roller will be sent up with under 5 seconds remaining here. As a ball is sent up and time expires on Detroit Lakes' efforts. As tonight here on Spuds TV, the Spuds of Moorhead hold out their first half lead and win the game 6-0 on your Northwest Blind scoreboard. It was a great game played from both teams, especially the second half, where it was fairly even match throughout the entire part. And for all of you at home, I'm Carter Castoris, and for my crew here at Spuds TV, we thank you for tuning in, and we wish you all a good night.